Did I do something? I'm a little confused.
I don't know.
You just started giggling.
So before we start telling you about the different categories of resorts at Walt Disney World, first we just want to brag on how awesome all of them are. We feel like looking back, we probably didn't emphasize that enough in our last video, and that's something that we definitely believe in. So we want you to know that no matter which resort that you pick, we feel that you'll be happy with your decision. We feel like if you go on any vacation or if you go out of town anywhere, then you have an opportunity just to stay at a normal hotel or whatever. But
there's usually not much that's real special about just an ordinary resort. But there is nothing just ordinary at any of the Walt Disney World properties.
So if you get the opportunity to go to Walt Disney World, then we think that that's an opportunity that you shouldn't pass up. So that's why we feel like you should also stay at a resort given the opportunity to do so.
And if you go during off-season, prices are really good. If you go during a peak season, they're not that much more. You can stay. They do have options where you have. We'll break it down for you, but there are a little bit cheaper resorts, but they're still absolutely amazing. They are so intricately designed, and it's just like nothing you've ever seen. So if you're just worried about, oh, well, I'm going to stay off property because it's going to save me so much money, in the long run, the experience is worth spending. If you have to spend a little bit more money, it's worth it. Totally worth it. And by the time you factor in not having to drive anywhere, all the things that go along with being right there on property, it's definitely worth it.
So, the first thing that we're going to talk to you about are the 4 different types of resorts that are available at Walt Disney World. The 4 different types are Value, Moderate, Deluxe, and Deluxe Villas.
They're all priced differently, and they're all categorized differently because each type of resort offers different things. Some of them are for bigger families, some of them have way more detail and design in, some of them offer really good fine dining, and each one is different. And so as you go up in level, obviously, the type of your amenities and the type of room you're in, it gets just greater and greater and greater. So first we're going to talk about the different value resorts that Walt Disney World offers. First, there are the All-Star Resorts, which they are All-Star Sports, All-Star Music, and All-Star Movies. Then they have Pop Century, and they have Art of Animation, which is Disney's newest resort. Disney Value Resorts are going to be your cheapest resorts that you can stay at on Walt Disney property. They are usually the busiest for that reason. They do also accommodate larger groups. If you go with a church group or school group or just a bunch of people, they will be able to accommodate you at most of those resorts. I know especially the Art of Animation is known for having bigger rooms and being able to accommodate larger groups of people. So they are going to be busier for that reason. They don't offer as many recreational things. They're very limited. They also do not have restaurants like some of the other resorts do. They have food courts and they also have shopping, but they don't have, they're not going to have as much to do. However, they are very fun designed. Each of the value resorts does, however, have a pool. And just a little tidbit of advice or information, Art of Animation has the first pool on Walt Disney World property that has speakers underwater. It's supposed to be like Nemo themed, and you can listen to music when you're swimming underwater. Isn't that cool?
Where else can you do that other than Disney?
Nowhere. You need to stay at Disney. Something you may also want to know about value resorts is the All-Star Resorts, the 3 of them. During off seasons, they do share one bus. And if you are the last resort to get picked up, the bus may be already full, so you may have to wait for another bus to come. However, I don't know if they all share a bus during peak seasons. That may be something that you want to check on. But when they do share a bus, we do know that All-Star Sports is first to be picked up and first to be dropped off. So if you have little kids and you're not going basically, you don't have like a certain one that's more appealing than the other, we do recommend All-Star Sports because you won't have to worry about having to wait extra time to catch a bus. Pop Century has its own bus system, and also Art of Animation does too. So put that into your consideration whenever you're picking a value resort. Currently, the cheapest price for value resorts is $85 per night. That is subject to change. That's just what Disney's offering right now. Not every value resort is $85 per night. It depends on what room you have. It depends on when you go. It depends on a lot of different things. So make sure to check it out. Don't quote us on $85 a night. That's just the cheapest that you are going to be able to stay on Disney property is for that price.
Keep in mind that just because you may decide to stay at a value resort doesn't mean that you won't enjoy your experience or your stay there. The resorts there can be just as nice in some people's opinions as staying at a more expensive resort. So regardless, we think that you'll enjoy your decision to stay at one of these. Just always keep that in mind and think that maybe just because you're paying less for it doesn't mean that you're not going to get as much out of it, because you definitely can, because there are definitely people out there that do.
They are still awesome, awesome resorts. We love Pop Century. Art of Animation is amazing. They have different themed areas. They have cars. They have
Finding Nemo.
Nemo. Who's your favorite person on Nemo?
Crush, obviously.
My favorite is Sharpie.
Ooh.
Nemo.
The Little Mermaid is another one that they have a theme of.
One of them, fine. It may not be my favorite, but it's definitely up there on my list. I just like Part of Your World.
And is Lion King is the other one.
Lion King. Did I say Cars already?
Yeah.
Cars, Lion King, Finding Nemo, and The Little Mermaid.
So
and
they did a pretty good job of picking some things.
They have life-size, larger than life statues and sculpture. What are they called? Statues, sculptures. Awesome, huge things. They have like a gigantic Crush. They have the Pride Rock that's in Lion King.
Pretty cool.
They have cars, the little actual cars, sculpted and stuff like that. It's really, really cool. What else do they have?
Those are the only ones that I can think of. But one thing I can think of is if
Ariel's on a building, and she's really big.
If you decide to maybe stay at Pop Century and you want to just maybe see another one of the resorts, Art of Animation is within walking distance of Pop Century, so you can actually go toward that one.
They have a bridge that goes in between them.
Right.
And what's it called? Generation Gap Bridge. I think it's what it's called. Generation Gap Bridge. So
that could kind of add to your whole experience while you're there, to kind of go see a different area if you're staying in one of the different resorts. So.
Because Art of Animation and Pop Century have two different food courts, they offer two different things. So if you're staying at Pop Century and you want to have, you can just walk to Art of Animation and go look at their gift shop. They may have some of the different things.
Yep.
They may have different pins over there, if you're a pin trader. They have different food, and it'll just be neat to check it out. And it's awesome to be that close to another resort that you can just walk across the bridge and be there and check it out. And you may love it and be like, well, this is where I'm staying next time. So that's really cool too.
So now that we've covered the value resorts with you, now we're going to turn our attention to the moderate resorts.
Our favorite,
which we stayed at the last time that we went to Walt Disney World, and are also staying at on our next trip as well.
We stayed at Coronado Springs for our Disney moon, and it was very, very romantic. It was very peaceful. It
is a very calming place to be at, especially like in the evening.
We'll do a review on that.
Sorry.
Watch out for it. And we're staying at the Caribbean, whether take your pick.
You say Caribbean, I say Caribbean.
Yep, the beach resort. In our next trip in
December.
So be watching out for our vlogs in the park. But moderate resorts are absolutely amazing. That's where you really, really start seeing the design in the resorts just take your breath away. They just really start outdoing themselves as it goes up in levels, but you really, really start to see it. The beauty of the resorts and stuff like that starting in the moderate resorts. Okay, so what are the different resorts that are moderate resorts?
1, Coronado Springs. 2,
We love Coronado
Caribbean
Springs.
Beach Resort. 3, Port Orleans Riverside. 4, Port Orleans French Quarter. And 5, the cabins at Disney's Fort Wilderness.
I was like in a whole nother world because you were going 1, 2. Moderate resorts are our favorite type category of resort.
With moderate resorts, you really start to see more added details to really see what you're paying a little bit more to stay there. Like a few of these examples would be like they have more extravagant pools. They definitely all have their own transportation systems, so you don't have to worry about maybe sharing a bus like with a different resort. So each resort has its own bus here. The shops, I would say, are probably a little more detailed and, you know, maybe a little better than the other ones.
They may have more stuff.
They have maybe more recreational things to do, like around the resort itself compared to the value resorts.
I know Port Orleans has the carriage ride and stuff like that. Like the value resorts, they don't offer stuff like that. They just have pools and like trails or something like that. They don't have like excursion things that you can go do, as far as the moderate resorts have stuff like that.
Right. Most of them have like a little bar or a lounge area, like a defined area like that itself. And then also they have more defined restaurants, I would say. Like they have more actual like restaurants instead of just more of just like a food court that maybe the value resorts have. So
well, the value resorts don't have any restaurants at all. They just have a food court.
Right. So
and the moderate resorts is actually where you start to see restaurants
inside a resort area itself.
Yeah. We personally don't feel like moderate resorts are given the attention that they deserve. They're slightly overlooked because they're in between the cheapest and some of the most expensive. For us, moderate resorts are our best option because you kind of get the best of everything. They're not the most extravagant, but with the most extravagant comes a lot of people in and out of your resort, viewing your resort. You know, there's a lot of people who resort hop just to look. And that's also a good idea, you know, just something to do. But if you're staying at a moderate resort, they're exceptionally designed. So it's not, we're not saying that it's not something to look at, but the deluxe resorts, they have a lot of more people that actually aren't staying there visiting just to view them. As far as the value resorts, they hold a lot more people. So you have that. So the moderate resorts for us, they're just right, and it's quiet enough, and it's just for us, it's the go-to category for us. That's why we stayed there for our Disney Moon, and we are staying there in our next trip in December. So, and we stayed at the Coronado Springs, and it's wonderful. But that is another thing we will talk about it in our. We'll do a review of Coronado Springs. It is an extremely large resort. Not necessarily saying it holds a zillion people. It is spread out, and luckily, it has a bus station at different areas of the resort. You don't have to walk 10 miles to get to, the resort. I mean, the resort's bus station. They each have, it has a little area.
Like drop off and pick up areas throughout the resort.
Yeah, but it is a convention center. It has a convention center in it, and it's the only one on Disney property. So companies and businesses, or anytime there's like an event or something, a lot of people tend to stay there. So there are going to be quite a few more people at that specific resort than the other moderate resorts. Something we also didn't talk about was the difference between Port Orleans Riverside and Port Orleans
French
Quarter. They are different because French Quarter is more of a romantic feel, like downtown New Orleans, like the actual French Quarter. They don't have as large of rooms. However, the Riverside has larger rooms. It can accommodate larger groups of people, and it is designed to be like the rural areas of Louisiana, and it's like the bayou themed. So there's two different themes. And there's going to be more people on the Riverside, more families and stuff like that on the Riverside part of Port Orleans. So maybe you want to think about all that whenever you're trying to pick between the two Port Orleans resorts.
After the moderate resorts, the next level above that are the deluxe resorts. And just the name itself says it all about these. As grand or as extravagant or as mesmerizing, whatever word you want to use to describe a hotel or a resort, these are what you would think of whenever you think of these resorts at Walt Disney World. They have, every one of them has multiple forms of transportation to and from the resort except for Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Only has a bus.
Yeah, it only has the bus. But others like the Grand Floridian, the Polynesian Resort, and the Contemporary, like all have the bus and the monorail all run through all of these.
And all of those have the boat except for Contemporary.
Right. So that's super, super, super convenient, especially because you can go to any of those 3 resorts, and it'll also take you straight to Magic Kingdom, which is
super
the most
awesome.
And it's the most popular, theme park of all. So a lot of people like that about it. But most of all these have like some of the best restaurants on all of Disney
some
property.
Some of our favorite.
Like the Polynesian has Ohana.
Ohana.
The Contemporary has Chef Mickey's, and then the Grand Floridian has a super fancy restaurant.
The Victoria and Albert's.
Right. And so these are some of the most famous places that you'll eat at on all of Disney property, all on location at these resorts. They all have their own specific bar lounge, which you don't get, like in the Value Resort.
Some of them have kid clubs. The Grand Floridian is also a spa resort, which is awesome.
So, ladies, if you want your husband or somebody to get you pampered,
or your husband to come with you,
then this would definitely be a place you would want to look into.
They're pretty awesome.
They have, amazing pools as well. They all have different forms of recreation to go along with them.
And they are, like he's already said, exquisitely designed.
Right.
Like the Animal Kingdom Lodge is one of the ones that's awesome. It is supposed to be like South African themed, and they've had people from South Africa come over to Disney World and help design that resort. They have the surfboards, shield board things on the front of doors, and those were handcrafted from Africa. Most of the artifacts that are in there, most of the designs and everything actually came from Africa. So they did not slack when it came to designing on any of the deluxe resorts. The Boardwalk Inn is just like Atlantic City. We've never stayed there, but we've heard absolutely amazing things. It feels like you stepped into Atlantic City. I've never been to Atlantic City, so I'm excited to really explore that and just.
When we actually took the boat last time around that whole area, and we were able to see that, and it is truly a sight to see, and definitely one of the places that we want to stay one of these days.
Yeah.
Probably not anytime soon, but one day that's definitely one that we want to try to stay at. So a list of the resorts covered under the deluxe category are the Beach Club, the Wilderness Lodge, the Polynesian Resort, the Contemporary Resort, the Boardwalk, Animal Kingdom Lodge, the Yacht Club, and the Grand Floridian, which I already mentioned. But all those are all under the category of deluxe, and every single one of these in their own right are fantastic. So
they're awesome. If you want to go resort hopping while you're there, these are the ones that you really want to check out. That's why we're saying staying at moderate or value, is awesome too. But when you do stay at a deluxe resort, you have a bunch of people in and out because they are so amazing. People don't want to go all the way there and not see them. They're awesome, and you don't have to be staying on Disney property to visit the resorts. Yeah. So there will be everybody there. Lots of people. You don't have to be staying there to eat at any of these restaurants, and they are some of the most popular restaurants on Disney property or in these resorts. So there's going to be quite a bit of people in and out in the lobby. Well, they're obviously not going to be walking up and down the halls and stuff like that, but they will be there, present.
The last time that we were there, we were kind of tired from our whole day in Magic Kingdom, and we actually kind of walked around the Polynesian a lot and just kind of hung out there. So that was pretty neat as well.
As much as we could walk. I brought brand new shoes to Disney, And the first day I wore them was walking in Magic Kingdom,
Oh,
and I could
yeah.
barely walk.
Oh.
I was miserable. So if you watched our what to pack and bring into the parks, that's one thing that we actually didn't say that we should have made, and it's not technically packing it, but make sure you do not even think about going to Disney unless you have amazing walking shoes. We both of our birthdays are in July, and that's what we gave each other, was new shoes for Disney specifically. What resort do you want to stay at the most?
Oh man.
Deluxe Resort.
Deluxe.
Well, any of them, but probably the Deluxe. 1, 2, 3, go!
Either the beach club or Animal Kingdom Lodge, just because of all the scenery at Animal Kingdom Lodge. I remember because your mom said that we totally missed out by not going to just look at Animal Kingdom Lodge when we were there, but we just kind of ran short on time. So
yeah,
I think that's one that's definitely on my bucket list to stay in.
I want to stay at Beach Club, or I want to stay at Fort Wilderness. Please take me there. I have to go.
We'll see. One of these days.
One of these days. I have to go. So if you have stayed at any of those that we just mentioned that we want to stay at, we would love your reviews. We would love to know things that we need to know.
Especially if you have like more specific things about each one that you know is really cool to see or cool to do there that we didn't talk about. Please leave us some comments and let us know too, because we would love more information on them as well.
Yep. We're excited. We haven't ever stayed. We're a Disney budget couple. We like to go and we like to spend our money on, we like souvenirs and stuff like that, because you really don't spend
that much time.
A lot of time in your rooms. You sleep there. We spent kind of a decent bit in our rooms because we didn't prepare a lot for Disney this time, so we got exhausted, and we went right after our wedding, so we were already just
about the third or fourth day. We were
very tired. Very, very tired. And so we went straight from work to our wedding and then straight to Disney. So we spent a little bit more time than normal in our resort, but that's something that you need to think about. If you're not going to spend a lot of time in your resort, don't spend a crazy amount of money just to stay in something like that, because you can always visit them. The only thing that you can't do is sleep there. But if you are going to be spending quite a bit of time in your resorts, enjoying your resort, then we would recommend spending the extra money to stay at one of the good themed ones. Well, they're all good themed, but the deluxe ones.
Especially if you know a place that has like maybe a really neat pool that you know that your family may want to spend a lot of time there, then that would be a good reason too. But like you said, in our opinion, if the room really doesn't matter, if you're just really going to lay your head down there at night, then there's no sense in necessarily spending that much more on a place. So that's why there are different levels available to try to accommodate everybody, because everybody still has different opinions on what they want to spend their money on. So we feel that's the other great thing about staying on property, are the options that are available. So.
And you need to look out for different promotions. I know in fall, the promotion that's going on right now is you can save like 30% off on your stay. It changes throughout the year. It's different. It won't be the same year to year. Always look out for the dining plan. We mentioned it in our last video, and we're mentioning it now. So we're not going to talk about it a lot. We will do a vlog on it, but if you catch it on the right time, and you can get a free dining plan, and that's where it's paid for. All of your meals are paid for. So if you take into account not having to drive, not having to pay for your meals, what else would you have to take into account?
I mean, that also covers like snacks during the day.
Everything. I mean, you have to think about how much
snacks a day as well. So.
How much you're gonna save. You know, Disney makes it to where it's affordable and it's doable, and a lot of people rule it out. A lot of people just think, I'm never going to be able to stay at Disney. A lot of people think they'll never be able to go, but whenever you book a trip for Walt Disney World, you have to put a $200 deposit down, and you have up to 45 days prior to check-in to pay for it. If you can put $30 on it this week, put $30 on it. If you can put $100 on it the next week, it allows you to do it the way that is best for you. So there's always a way to be able to do it. If you just, and you can book 499 days Is that it? In
I don't
in
know the
advance?
actual number, but-
Can you, I mean, 400, that's a long time to be paying for a trip, so it's totally doable. Don't rule it out. Really look into it, and we hope that our vlog has helped you decide on that. The only thing that we haven't talked about, and we don't know a lot about them because, like we said, we are a Disney budget couple. They also have Disney Villas. They're quite expensive.
The tippy top of
Yeah.
anything that you would ever expect to stay. I believe.
Disney Vacation members are really big into the villas. If you're a Disney Vacation member, you can stay in the villas, but they're quite expensive. But with the villas, they come with full kitchens, and if you're bringing like your whole family, your family friends, and you're not going in a group, but you're coming as a family, and you all want to be really close and be in a home environment, that is a place to stay, and you can all kind of split it up and price-wise, and that's manageable too. So that's something that if you want to know about, look into it. We can't give a lot of advice on it because we don't know a lot about it, and we want to make sure we know what we're talking about before we tell you. So, but that's it for this video. We hoped it helped you out. We hoped it convinced you to stay on property and gave you the,
if you were maybe
courage
on
to
the
do
fence, possibly of, yeah, that would be nice to stay on property, but I don't think I'm going to be able to afford it, so we want to stay off property. Hopefully you've seen enough of the advantages why we think staying on property is the best way to go.
And hopefully what I was trying to say was hopefully it gave you the confidence that you need to believe that it is doable, that it is totally worth it. If you have to spend just a little bit more, we cannot stress to you enough
how much it adds to your experience and your time
how
there.
worth it is to stay at the Disney resorts. Every corner you look at, from the carpet to the ceilings to the walls to the kitchen sinks to the bathroom sinks to the tiles on the wall, everything.
To the Mickey towels they leave on your bed after housekeeping comes every day.
Everything is just amazing, and you don't get that anywhere. You don't get the service that you get other places like you do at Disney. So we wish we could talk everyone we knew that was going to Disney into staying on property, because it makes your experience so much better. You are engulfed in the magic, and it never goes away. When you go and you stay on property somewhere else, well, you stay off property, you stay at another resort, when you leave Walt Disney World, it's like you have to leave and go back to the real world. You don't get to stay in the magic. You have to leave it and then come back later, so when you go to Disney, you want to escape the real world, and you get to do that when you stay on property. So we hope this video helped you, and we hope we convinced you to stay on property.
Thanks for watching, and we'll have our next video up a week from now.
And if you have any questions or any advice that you would like to give or any comments, please leave them below. We'd love to hear from you. If you have any advice or any topics you would like us to cover in our future vlogs, please email us. We'd love to hear from you.
Please subscribe. We like subscribers.
Yeah. But go ahead and email us any questions you have, or if you have ideas for next vlogs, please let us know. Until next time, see ya.
Bye. Thank you.